You're listening to an FTCR podcast, you boob.
Welcome to a brand new Skype Sanctuary. I'm Stefan, and here I've got two special guests, Ryan and Derek.
Hello.
Hello.
And if you remember, technically it was earlier this year, us three and TJ, who couldn't join us because he's stuck with work, we did a little podcast talking about My Hero Academia and our feelings on the whole show. So now that we're at the end of the year, season 3, at the time of this recording, season 3 just finished like about 2 weeks ago. The movie came out around that same time. We thought it'd be good to come back and talk about our opinions about both of those.
It's really been less than a year since we did that.
It feels longer, doesn't it?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was in February or March, because I know it was like early, it was this year, but before season 3 started. So it was it feels so much longer.
Talk about longer. I went from season 1 right into season 2, watching it like just marathoning it. Then I had to wait for season 3 to start, which didn't take too long. And then it was the week by week method, and now I have to wait a year like everybody else in order to get more My Hero. This sucks.
Not quite a year. Apparently, season 4 is going to be spring, which is April.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's kind of the same as this year, right? They started in
more
spring
or less.
and then
Yeah, both season 2 and season 3 both started in April, so it's like 6 months. So we can wait. And if you're like me, well, you could be like me and just say screw it and just start reading the manga so you know everything. Because I'm just like, I need to know everything.
I will gladly take.
The
manga is really good, but I'll say I will gladly take having just half a year of anime if it keeps up the quality.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm perfect. Well, I'm used to like regular television doing like this, like a 13 episode season or like however, so I'm perfectly fine with waiting 6 months for another 25 episodes.
Well, being the big anime guy, I'm used to either shows running ad infinitum with tons of filler and padding, or we get the index syndrome where you don't get a third season for 10 years.
Yeah.
Honestly, I prefer taking breaks instead of like shows like your Dragon Balls and stuff like that. Where
there's a reason it's called Drag On a Ball.
Yeah. I feel sometimes there's like a point where it's like it's just too much, and especially if you want to like say collect it or like want to, and it's so much harder to collect and rewatch with shows like that.
Too bad TJ's not here. We could have made fun of his 89th volume of One Piece coming out in a few weeks.
That is amazing.
Almost 1,000 chapters.
It's over 1,000.
But here's the thing: even if it followed the My Hero method, it would still be a super long anime.
Yeah, it would. But we're here to talk about My Hero, not One Piece.
Yeah, I'm okay with waiting because I waited how long for the second season of Castlevania, so it's like, all right,
about a year.
Yeah, let's do it.
So first, we'll jump in with our thoughts of season 3. What'd you both think?
I think I'm kind of in line with most people, where I think the first half of season 3 was a lot stronger than the second half. Because the second half, outside of the very end of it, there wasn't a lot of stakes or development, which was a little strange for the show.
Yeah, as a manga reader, I was a little disappointed on how the second half sort of came out. I feel like it was more suited to the manga approach than the anime approach, but the first half of season 3 is up there with season 2 stuff of just being absolutely phenomenal shonen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Like, just jumping right into it, getting this, okay, cool, some interesting summer camp. What's going to happen with that? Oh, this crazy intense training. Cool, I'm down for this. Oh, villains are doing something? All right, well, I'm down for another villain fight. That's cool. Oh, wait, they kidnapped Bakugo? Oh, God, they're doing the Sasuke thing? Oh, Bakugo decided to say no. That's awesome. That's a nice twist. What the hell's going on with All Might? This is this great progression of exactly like, holy crap, what is happening next?
And now you're seeing why everyone likes Bakugo so much.
I was actually starting to like Bakugo by the end of season 2, but I think I really started to come around on him during the tournament arc, especially against Uraraka. Like, it was like really interesting to see him like no, I'm not going to hold back on you, not because I'm a jerk, but because you obviously wanted to do your best, so I'm going to put forth my best. That was a
But
really
he's also a
interesting
jerk too.
Oh,
Yeah,
God, of course.
Bakugo is very much a slow game character.
I think it took me until it took me until the second Midoriya versus Bakugo fight that was when I finally went, okay, now I'm starting to understand you a little bit. Like I still don't really think that you're like forgiven for the way you act, but I'm like when we're seeing him break down, and especially I was just rewatching the episode in English, like seeing him break down and just like his performance in that whole scene is just really like it's kind of that part gets heartbreaking. So
The point of good writing is not so much liking the character, but understanding the character, and Hero Academia does that extremely well.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Like I may not like him most of the time, but that doesn't mean like I think it's bad writing. It's just my preferences.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, before we get to the end of the season Bakugo stuff, let's rewind a bit back and go to the summer camp stuff. I thought they were going to pad that out a bit more as a manga reader.
Oh yeah.
I had a few. I think technically they only I recognized because I reread it right before watching it. I think there was like the second episode. Well, the first technical episode, because the thing started with a clip show. Which,
have no fears, we'll have stories for years.
Which at the very least, the original, like them at the pool, I thought that was legitimately funny. So at least watching that part, skipping through all the clips, I liked watching that thing.
I mean, Bakugo foregoing swimming altogether just to win the race.
It was just a race to get to the other side. He never said he had to swim.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
I love his line. It's like, "Hey, you cheers! It's freestyle."
Yeah, it's pretty great, and yeah, it was nice to actually like, okay, we got this one episode. It's kind of lame, but at least there's some fun bits, and then we finally get into the training camp, and I wasn't sure what to expect from this one, and we got the new heroes of the Wild Wild Pussycats, which I was definitely like, okay, I'm down. Let's see where this goes.
They're a fun group. Same what kind of happened to half of them.
Yeah, not so good.
Well, technically, only one of them really suffered. The rest of them just kind of got hurt.
Yeah, I wish they had I know they probably had no place to put it, but I forget her name, the one who did get kidnapped. But
I think Ragdoll was it?
Ragdoll, yeah. There's a great manga bit, like an omake chapter, where because Derek's not really a manga reader, but there's an omake chapter where, since she can sense all weaknesses, they ask her to, look at All Might, and she sees his crippled form. She says, "Wow, he's so powerful. You don't think he has a weakness?" She understands the situation.
Oh, okay, that's actually really cool.
Yeah, I remember that. It wasn't like a real, like it wasn't it wasn't a Horikoshi like drawn chapter. It was just like another guy, just like a little thing. But yeah, that was a really interesting bit. I do wish, because in the manga it's the same thing, is that her like getting her powers stolen is really like it's just kind of like breezed by. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, she got her powers stolen. They don't really deal with that.
That's unfortunately something I feel like they kind of felt like they had to cut, because it didn't necessarily add to the story or stakes in context of the greater picture.
I mean, I feel like I wish I would have seen a little bit more of the fallout from things, because I have no idea if Best Jeanist is still alive, honestly. I think he survived, but...
He's alive, yeah.
Okay, but it just, like, they didn't really say whether or not he was dead.
Yeah, and kind of spoiler, and for the longest time I thought, oh, he had his power stolen too, but then he shows up later in the manga and it's like, oh no, he still has his powers, he's just not doing anything.
All For One says that his power isn't very good. It's Best Jeanist who makes the power good, so he has no need to take it.
Yeah, I actually really like that line, because it shows that I could steal your power, but I wouldn't get as much use out of it as you have right away. I'd have to really train for it, and
I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I can actually see the same sort of thing for I forget the guy, Lucas at the end of at the end of the season.
Lucas / Pip-Boy / Tintin / half of Captain Marvel's face.
Kitty Pryde.
Yeah.
Everyone's made the Mirio jokes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll save to him for the end of the.
Exactly, but it was just one of those
stuff.
things. Like I like how some of these powers are not good right away. You have to make them good.
Yeah, and I think that's an important thing to establish in the world because it's something that our main hero Midoriya has had to deal with, and we saw it in season 2 with Shinzo.
Yeah.
Having a great quirk is a big leg up. Don't get guys like Bakugo or Todoroki wrong. It certainly helps, but that only gets you so far.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I like whenever I see like on YouTube videos where they're like, oh, top 10 best, most powerful quirks. And I'm kind of like, you kind of don't really get the point of the show, because the point of the show isn't really, oh, these are the best quirks. Like they'll be like, okay, these quirks are quote unquote inherently better than others, but ultimately it's what the character does with it. Like you said, like Best Genius is considered like the third like top hero, but his
power kind of sucks.
Yeah, he controls like
Denim.
Denim.
Yeah.
But it's like, but he makes it good. Like a lot of people are like, oh, the class 1A. A lot of people's like quirks in class 1A aren't that good. Like, oh, what, this guy shoots tape out of his arm. This guy just has a tail. It's like that isn't that good. But it's like, but it could be good if you like work at it.
Mm-hmm. Man, that kind of makes me want to see a fight between Best Genius and Gang Orca now. Like, who would win that fight? Because you'd think it'd be Gang Orca, but somehow just Best Genius does it. But you're right. I like how they build up, and there's a reason these kids are able to do it, because they can take advantage of those powers. Like, I'm still like Toru. I'm trying to figure out like how Toru makes it into a lot of things, because I've only seen her use her power really wants to reflect the sunlight and blind people, but that like otherwise I don't know what she does.
I completely forgot she had a power, and then during the license exam she used it. I'm like, oh yeah, she has something else.
Yeah, because her power isn't invisibility; it's actually light reflection that she can't turn off.
Right. Man, wouldn't that be weird if she actually figured out how to turn it off?
Yeah.
Or what if she always can turn it off and she's actually the spy? Ooh.
Leave that fan theory alone until we know for sure.
Yeah.
But that speaking of their quirks, that leads into what's fun about the whole training arc is that we see them how they all have to have their own unique training regimen, because it doesn't work for people in the same way as it would for others, except for Midoriya, whose only real recourse is to keep training.
Mm-hmm.
Punch him to get better.
Yeah.
I love that whole scene, because you see like how each of the individual characters like try to like do better. Like if Bakugo puts his arms in like super hot, like what was it again?
Water.
Yeah,
boiling water and then raising up and immediately shooting it off. Trying to get Todoroki to use both sides at once. I love Tape Guy, where it's just shoot out as much tape as you can. And he's like screaming his pain as all this tape comes out.
And then there's just Ida in every scene running in the background.
Exactly. And Tokoyami just being in the dark. Oh, crap. It's been so long. What was he saying?
Revelry
in the dark.
Yeah, Revelry in the dark. It's like,
he said it.
So awesome.
And then like his training is just hide in a cave.
Why does he keep saying that?
He's trying to be edgy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the villains attack, and then you get I think this might be I think that this is my second favorite moment in the whole season, is Midoriya versus Muscular.
I'm not that big of a fan of the fight with Muscular. If only because I know you're saving the kid, and you are trying to help him not just, escape the bad guy, but inspire him as well. You're not sending a good message by continuing to tear yourself up.
Mm. Yeah, but it was pretty obvious that it seemed pretty obvious at that point that he couldn't get away from Muscular.
No, I'm not saying he was wrong to do it that way. It's just a matter of, yeah, it's kind of awkward when you're in the training camp, and Midoriya functionally still hasn't gotten any better.
Yeah.
It dilute not so much the point of the arc, because it's trying to do a bunch of different things at once, but it feels like as far as the main character goes, that we're kind of not doing much with him.
Yeah, I do like that this is basically the last big moment his arms have in this, because he really, like, he can't keep breaking himself like this. He can't keep pushing his arms to that point. I like that the show is like, yeah, no, you gotta you gotta stop. You gotta change things up. You keep breaking them, and I don't know whether it's actually 1,000% that he used or not, but he put everything he had into it and just destroyed himself. I like that they're like, you have to stop, and then get the scars and everything else. It's like we get to see the consequence and the eventual shoot style that makes a bit more sense, and we'll see how. I don't have a firm grasp on his shoot style yet, but I like where it's going.
And at the very least, at least he broke his arms this time for an actual good reason. Like he's saving a person's life from a super powerful villain, and not breaking it because of like a school festival or a tournament or something like that ultimately doesn't really matter. Mm-hmm. Which is why I love the whole thing where like the doctor's putting him down, being like, you have to stop doing this and all that. But then he's like, but don't forget, you did save someone. And he hands him the card, and you have Kota writing and saying, sorry, I kicked you in the balls. Thank you for saving me.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
And it was kind of distracting that it was literally just Morgana's voice.
Yeah, that was a bit weird.
So I just kind of funny.
In English or Japanese?
Hey, she turned into a human.
Was that in English or Japanese? Because I don't know if I picked up on that.
The English voice for Kota is Morgana's voice.
Oh, I completely missed that. Like I recognize Morgana's voice as the medic in Valkyria Chronicles 4, but for some reason I did not pick up on Kota being voiced by Morgana.
Kota kept saying human a couple times, and that was when I was like, yep, that's the same girl. And I think Makoto is one of the Pussycats.
Yes, another fun voice actor thing is John Swasey is All For One, who is also Hohenheim in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
I love
Hohenheim / father, yeah.
I thought I recognized that. He has such a great villain voice.
I didn't recognize the voice, but I love his voice so much. It's so like it's like I love the laid back, just kind of like just like sit back. Like he's not really he's threatening in the sense that he's like just calm, and like he isn't like booming voice, but it's just so good.
Do you know who his voice kind of, not so much the timbre, but the style of it reminds me of? Michael Ironside at Darkseid.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, I can totally see that. It's kind of the same thing. It's a Frieza-like voice as well. Like, it's just very calm and whatnot. Frieza gets a little bit more shouty, but that's Dragon Ball in a nutshell. But it's still that same idea of that usually calm voice, but All For One always stays calm. And honestly, like having listened to both Japanese and English now at this point, I think I prefer English All For One to Japanese. I think the calmness comes across more.
As always, it helps when most of the dialogue isn't matching a lip flap, so you have a little bit more flexibility there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of great extra cast members, again, pulling it back just so we're going chronologically, 1B gets to do something.
Oh yeah.
They get to like Tetsu and Kendo get their big moment.
Yeah. Which was really cool. Like I was actually really hoping to see more of 1B actually, the more the students do more. Unfortunately, it was only those two, but still, like, hey, sweet, they're actually doing something.
You'll like, not to be spoiler, but you'll like the manga later because they actually do have a 1A versus 1B thing going on right now.
Ooh, I didn't know. I heard that 1B was going to get to do more later, which is really cool.
Yeah, right now they're like we're like actually finding out what all their other powers are, and they have some really weird powers.
That's awesome. Yeah,
well, let's say that for like season 5, I guess, or something.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, nice to see Kendo and Tetsu actually do something.
Yeah, that was a fun. I liked that. Like, we didn't get a lot of villain fights in that. Like, came to an actual conclusion. But the ones we did get, it was pretty interesting. Like, I liked how they showed off the Wild Pussycat's powers and how they work together as a unit in order to take out those villains. Seeing I'm blanking on his name, but the homeroom teacher versus Dabi. Like when he comes out and Dabi just lights Aizawa. Like that was like, holy crap! Like there's
Dabi's arguably the most threatening villain in the series at this point.
Yeah, I mean, again,
and
not
Toga.
to skip ahead, but
Toga is weird in her own way.
Yeah, we'll get to Toga. But it's like, again, looking at Dobby and towards the end of the season, just the way he lights those guys on fire. I'm like, okay, yeah, this guy is definitely the biggest threat. Honestly, I'd love to see him versus Bakugo. I think that would be an interesting fight.
To listen to the rest of this episode and every other episode of Skype Sanctuary, please go to skypesanctuary.com or look for us on Apple Podcasts. Gordon?
Yeah. Prove you're smarter than a robot. Subscribe and leave a 5-star review for this and other FTCR shows on Apple Podcasts. You boob.